I picked up this 2003 BMW for $0, and it's probably worth it.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Today we're going to be working on this 2003 BMW K1200GT. And I was out hiking with a friend yesterday. Right before I went on the hike, I was checking one of my favorite sites, you know, the marketplace, and I saw this free motorcycle. So I just shot a message figuring, you know, there's probably 100 people hitting this person up. And he replied, and we made contact, and as soon as I got done with the hike, I picked this thing up. Let's take a look at it. As I said, it's a K1200GT. I did not know what that meant. I just knew that it was free. And the guy is moving. So he picked this up about 12 years ago. He said he bought it at a salvage auction and started to work on it. And then he had plans of trying to make it into a cafe racer, which I don't think this would be a very good model to do that with, but you know, maybe he got it cheap enough. Obviously he didn't think too much about it because it sat for 12 years. He claimed that it ran when he picked it up, but he had never ran it after that. Outside here I have most of the body work, and I have a box full of parts here. He said when he got it, the front wheel was broken, and he bought a new front wheel, and he replaced some other items. I just stuck this one side panel on here just to kind of get an idea of how it looks, and this side went on fine. This side didn't. I think this whole front mount is all busted up or bent up, whatever. So probably gonna try to straighten that out, but that's down the road. The body work is not of a concern right now. What we should try to do is see if we can make this thing run. I saw in the parts there is it's either this cover or the other cover. It might be this one because it looks like it's cracked. So he said it was leaking a little bit. We'll just check the oil. I'm not going to change that until we get to that point. What I've done since I got it home is pretty much unloaded it and stuck that plastic panel on there. Tried the other ones just to see what I all had. But other than that, the only other thing I've done is opened up the gas tank, and it smells awful in there. So we're going to take that gas tank off and clean it. As soon as I take the gas tank off, I think I'm going to put a battery in here just to see if everything lights up. I think while I'm messing with that gas tank, I'm also going to try to put the front wheel assembly back together here. He just stuck this wheel on here. There's no spacers, and the calipers are dragging, so I'll just put the discs on. It's just nice to have it for moving it around. It kind of sucks because you can't stop it. From my research, I've also found out these bikes have a problematic brake system, so maybe before I fire it up, maybe I will purge all the brake fluid out too. Anyway, let's get started. Removing the tank wasn't too bad, and happy to report that at least it's a plastic tank, so it's not rusted out as far as the tank, but the filler neck is in pretty sad shape, and it has some sort of a, I don't know what this is, probably like a emissions deal so that the fuel goes in there if you spill it in here. I don't know. There's some chunks inside of there. Fuel pump's down here. Looks like I just have to spin that collar off. I looked inside of here, and the fuel pump itself doesn't look too bad, but of course, like I said, it's got these hoses here. They go through the tank and connect down to there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clean this all up, pull this pump out, and just see what it looks like, I guess. What I'm trying to do is, if I can get this thing to run without putting too much money into it, then I'll decide if it's worth fixing or what the deal is. But you know, it's all part of the fun. Here's the update. I've been kind of messing around got the pump out. It is awful. The wires are broken off, rusty, crusty. Like I said, the tank is plastic, so that's not a problem, but this is. I moved on, got the, and I got tools everywhere. Got the brake rotors attached. Started to try to bleed the brakes, but I don't know. The system is odd. I believe it has what's called servo brakes, which I don't know much about, but I wasn't able to bleed the brakes very good. And I think that this, like I said, this bike was in a wreck, so I believe the front forks are a little bit tweaked. Things aren't lining up as good as they should. I threw a old battery in here. The BMW battery is humongous. I had to put a old shirt underneath it, hold that battery up. In fact, yeah, I better put something between there because it's almost touching metal. But we do have a clock lighting up on here. I don't know if we can see it or not. There we go. I haven't turned the key on yet. Let me get something between there before we burn the shop down, and then we'll turn the key on and see what happens. So here we go, first time turning the key on. Things are lighting up. Brake failure. Okay, that's what that's saying. Horn works. All right. There's a relay in here making noises. Oh yeah, you can hear the brakes. Hear that? All right, so I'm going to try to bleed the brakes with the key on, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, we got all kinds of stuff working. Oh, look at that! It's got an electric windshield. It's broken. Okay. I'll mess with the brakes a little bit off camera and see if it does anything. I know this isn't right, but I'm going to spray some carburetor cleaner into the intake, crank this thing over, and see if it fires a little bit. It has oil in the engine. I've already hit the starter a couple times. It turns over. So let's see what happens. That's not bad. It does have a little bit of life in it. I mean, I only ran it a couple seconds, but it doesn't sound terrible. So I'm gonna look up this fuel pump issue and see what I can find out about the brakes, and then I'll come back and we'll see if we're gonna proceed on this. Thank goodness for YouTube, yes. I figured out the brake bleeding procedure, which, like I said, this has what's called servo brakes. It's an interesting deal, but anyway, here you can hear it. I turn the key on, and you can hear. Anyway, the back brake works. Front brake doesn't work because brake hose is broken. Brake broke, yes. But it looked like it was starting to bleed, and then it was spraying everywhere. So I need a brake hose, minimum, and fuel pump, minimum. I started cleaning this thing up and decided to take it apart. Looks better. That was just a quick clean. But I'm doing a, what do you call it, a Hail Mary on this. So I took it apart, sprayed some carb cleaner into the pump. I actually hooked up some jumpers and was trying to run it off of a battery here. And you can hear it wants to go. It clicks, and you can feel the pump body. You can feel it move in there, but it's stuck. So I'll soak it with some stuff here, and then if I get it to work, yeah, I got excited and kind of just threw some of the body panels on here. I was straightening things out. Got the headlight in. This lower cowl panel will not mount because everything up here is just twisted really bad. In fact, I didn't really even notice it, but now I can really notice it. Like the gauges are down and back that way or in this way, I don't know. But I was able to get this left side panel on, but it's not on there very good. And once you get that on, then this one won't fit. So anyway, would need an entire mount cage or whatever you call it there. The power windshield is broken, one of the arms on it, but it does work. Look at that. Pretty cool. The heated seat works. Heated grips work. Well, at least one of them works. The left side one doesn't seem to be getting hot, but whatever. I just noticed the shift lever is missing here or broken or whatever. I don't know how that all works there. There's just supposed to be a peg there. I don't know. But if I can get this pump to work, what I'm going to do is make some leads like that, run them out through the fill neck, which is just sitting there, and hook that to an external battery, throw some gas in there and see if we can get this thing to run a little bit longer. I know it's pretty janky, but whatever. What are we going to do? Yeah, BMW, I'm sorry. We're not buying your parts. They're too expensive. This fuel pump assembly is selling for about $400 used. And I didn't even look on the BMW parts sites to see how much it costs new, but we bought a $20 Quantum fuel pump, installed it in here. Didn't have quite the right stuff, but we made it work. There's the old one. There's a new one. It's just very slightly different, but it's going to work. I was able to solder on some wires here. Maybe not the right wires either, but we're just trying to get this thing going. Now the next thing I have to do is replace this fuel line. You can see it's in amazing shape. If you ever worked on an in-tank fuel pump, you have to get submersible fuel line. It says it on here somewhere. This stuff's expensive. So yeah. And then the next thing I need to do is get some clamps that are rated for fuel injection. I have a ton of clamps. These are the kind you need. I don't have 4 of them, and that one's too big, I believe, anyway. So I'm gonna go get some of those. We'll get this wired up, put it on the bike, and we'll see if it runs. In the meantime, it's been a few days, you know, waiting for that fuel pump to show up. The owner contacted me and gave me a whole bunch of new stuff. Well, not new, but stuff that he had. So I have a front fender, some more of the plastics. He had a piece for this. So hey, the turn signals work. It doesn't ride yet. Let's see what else. Oh, my friend has a BMW 1150GS, and he had a brake line. I don't know if I had covered it. I was gonna just mess around with the brakes. Yeah, I was covering that on here, but the front brake line had a leak. So now that works. So we have brakes, we have turn signals, all the important stuff. We just got to get it running. So I'm going to get the clamps. We're going to put some fresh fuel in that tank. Maybe even add some sea foam. Let's see, there it is. Sea foam. We'll add some of that, and we'll see if this thing runs. But I got some running around to do. Get them clamps and other various things. Well, let me tell you, installing that pump was no fun. You got to fight these lines that connect up here, down through there, connect everything. Real pain in the butt. I didn't install the fuel level sender and everything is just disconnected, but I have already cycled the key a few times. You can hear the pump cycling. We had a small fuel drip. Yeah, it's still dripping over here. I have a fuel drip there, but let's see what happens. I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with that. I did not think it was going to run this good with the fuel injector sitting for that long. I think these flashing lights might go away once you start rolling. If I remember right, that's what my last BMW was. So now the next thing to do is, let's see if it shifts through the gears and stuff. There's not a shift lever here, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a long bolt and just put it on there for now. It's probably not going to work great, but it'll do something. Maybe the gasoline has swelled up the seal or whatever that was leaking, but this leak is almost done. I think I see a little bit still back there, but it's not dripping actively. And this is some ghetto stuff right here. Had a shifter I found from something, and I just bolted it on there. It's not the final solution, but I can kind of shift it. I'll probably make something out of that later, or buy one. But you know, we're trying to be pretty cheap getting this thing going. Out of the parts that the guy gave me, he gave me a brand new battery for this thing, so I can take out whatever random battery I have in there and put the correct battery in, because you know that's important. But I already did ride it, so I'm sure that someone's going to want to see it. So let me set this up and I'll ride it up and down the driveway. Okay, I got shorts, tennis shoes, and a baseball cap on, so all the safety equipment. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, here we go. I know that was just up and down the driveway. Off the camera, I rode it down to the stop sign and back and shifted through all 6 gears and back down, and locked up the back brakes and locked up the front brakes. It doesn't seem like the ABS is working because the back brake locks up immediately, and I was afraid to lock the front. But that is a whole nother ball game. That ABS system is a very difficult nut to crack. You have to flush the ABS servos, and you need a special wrench, so I'm gonna have to buy some wrenches. I think it's a 7mm and an 11 or something, and you have to bend them. But it runs, it shifts, it stops. It's not quite pretty. So now I have to decide what I'm gonna do with this thing. I have a grand total of, let's see, $22 for the fuel pump and $10 for the clamps, and a little chunk of fuel line that I already had, and some brake fluid that I already had, and lots of labor. But I don't have any real money into this thing, under $50. But herein lies the problem. I do have some paperwork for it, but this is a salvage certificate bike, and the whole salvage operation wasn't completed, and I've never done that. So I have a salvage certificate, something like that. So I'd have to get it VIN inspected and a brake and light check. So I'm going to look into that, decide if this is going to be worth keeping. So far, everything that I've tested works. Haven't been able to test the cruise control, obviously. Will be interesting if that works. And can't test the front blinkers, but the back ones work. This heated grip doesn't work, and the ABS is questionable. But honestly, you could simplify this brake system, eliminate the ABS and the servo, which a lot of people do. The servo brakes are something I've never dealt with, and if you don't know what they are, you're a lucky person. There you have it. Will it run? Yes. Will it ride? Yes. Will we do anything else with it? Well, that's going to be up to me, and maybe up to y'all out there. Just let me know what you think, what we should do with this BMW. It's an interesting machine, something I wasn't expecting, and I don't really need, but you know, it's hard to pass up a bargain. But you know, if you're like me, that's what you like to do. I love to get things going that weren't going, and see if we can do it on the cheap, and then decide how much money you want to spend after that. So Anyway, if you are liking my content, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.